Today we are talking about saving money on a low income. What's actually draining you? What the common pitfalls are that keep people stuck in the same cycle, and 5 strategies that work when your margin is already razor thin. No side hustle sermon. No cut the lattes. Just the real conversation. Here's what we're covering today. The saving pitfalls that quietly sabotage people who are genuinely trying, 5 practical strategies built specifically for tight budgets, and 1 mindset shift that reframes the entire goal. Stick with me through all of it. The mindset piece at the end is the one that ties everything together. Before we talk about what to do, we need to talk about the silent traps working against you. Because most people on tight budgets aren't failing from lack of effort. They're failing because they're walking directly into traps that nobody warned them about. Trap number 1, trying to save what's left over at the end of the month. This is the most common savings mistake across every income level, but it hits hardest when income is low. The logic sounds reasonable. They say spend what you need, save what remains. The problem is, with a tight budget, there is almost never anything remaining. Life fills every available dollar. Unexpected costs show up. The end of the month arrives, and the account is at zero again. If your saving strategy depends on leftover money, you don't have a saving strategy. You have a wish. We'll address how to fix this structure in the strategy section, but you first need to recognize this as the trap it is. Trap number 2, saving while carrying high-interest debt. This one is counterintuitive, and it confuses a lot of people. If you have a savings account earning 1 to 2% interest while simultaneously carrying a credit card balance at 24 to 29% APR, which is the national average right now, you are mathematically losing money by saving. Every dollar sitting in savings while high-interest debt exists is a dollar costing you the difference in interest. The psychologically satisfying feeling of watching a savings balance grow is real, but the math is working against you behind the scenes. The exception, and this matters, is a small emergency buffer. You keep that. Everything above that buffer should hit the high-interest debt first. We'll come back to why the buffer is non-negotiable in a moment. Trap number 3. Using a savings account you can see and access too easily. Convenience is the enemy of saving on a tight budget. When money is visible in your main bank app, your brain counts it as available. And when an expense comes up, even a small one, the mental calculation becomes, I'll just use the savings and replace it later. Later never comes. Saving in the same account you spend from, or in an account linked directly to your debit card, is a structural failure before you've even started. Accessibility kills follow-through. The fix is creating friction between you and your savings, and we'll get specific about how to do that. Trap number 4, targeting visible small expenses instead of fixed cost structures. This is the cut the coffee problem in its full form. Personal finance culture has spent decades telling low-income earners to audit their small daily purchases. The $6 coffee, the $15 streaming service, the occasional takeout order. And yes, those things can add up. But here's what that conversation consistently ignores. The real budget killers for most Americans on low incomes are fixed costs. Rent eating 50% or more of take-home pay. Car insurance. Phone bills. Utility costs in older, poorly insulated housing. Medical expenses without adequate coverage. These are costs most people feel they can't touch, so they leave them alone and try to squeeze savings out of the remaining fraction of their income. Cutting a $6 coffee saves you $180 a year. Renegotiating your car insurance or switching to a lower-cost phone carrier can save you $600 to $1,200 a year. The math isn't close. Focusing on visible small expenses while ignoring fixed cost structures is like trying to bail out a boat with a teaspoon while ignoring the hole in the hull. Trap number 5, saving without a specific purpose or timeline. I'm trying to save more is not a savings plan. It's a sentiment. And without a clear target, an actual number attached to an actual reason, savings feel abstract enough that they're the first thing to go when something comes up. This isn't a motivation lecture. There's a practical reason this matters. When savings have a defined purpose, your brain treats withdrawing from them as a specific loss, not just a transfer between accounts. The psychological protection that comes from a named, purpose-driven savings goal is real and measurable. Emergency fund holds better than savings. Car repair fund holds better than emergency fund. The more specific, the more protected. Now that we know what's working against you, let's get into what actually works. 5 strategies that actually work. Strategy number 1. Fix your fixed costs before anything else. Your first move is not to open a savings account. Your first move is to sit down and write out every single recurring charge in your financial life. Rent, utilities, phone, insurance, subscriptions, loan minimums. Every dollar that leaves your account automatically or on a fixed schedule. Then ask 3 questions about each one. Can I eliminate it entirely? Can I negotiate it down? Is there an alternative that serves the same function at a lower cost? Most people haven't asked these questions in years because fixed costs feel permanent. They're not. Car insurance rates vary enormously by provider. Getting 3 competing quotes takes 30 minutes and can save you hundreds annually. Phone bills are negotiable, especially if you threaten to leave. Utility companies in many states have low-income assistance programs that most eligible households never apply for. Internet providers routinely offer significantly discounted plans for qualifying low-income households. These programs exist. They are not widely advertised. Finding and applying for them is one of the highest return financial moves available to low-income earners. Fix the structural floor of your budget first. That is where the real money is. Strategy number 2, save per income event, not per month. Monthly saving is a middle-class framework. It assumes steady, predictable income that arrives once or twice a month and sits in your account long enough to plan around. If you're hourly, part-time, gig-based, or dealing with any income irregularity, monthly saving is structurally incompatible with your reality. The alternative is saving per income event. Every time money comes in, every paycheck, every cash payment, every side income, a small percentage moves before you start allocating anything else. Not at the end of the pay period. Immediately. The amount does not matter at the start. What matters is the architecture. You are building the habit of treating savings as a cost of receiving income, not a reward for spending carefully. $5 per paycheck is not going to retire you. But $5 per paycheck as a consistent behavior creates the system you eventually scale up when income increases. If your bank supports it, set up an automatic transfer for the day after each deposit. If you're working in cash, a separate physical envelope that you contribute to every single time you get paid works on the same principle. The mechanism is less important than the immediacy. Strategy number 3, build a crisis buffer before any other savings goal. The financial advice standard is 3 to 6 months of expenses in emergency savings. That is a reasonable long-term target. It is also completely unrealistic as a starting point on a low income. Here is the actual starting point. $500 to $1,000. That's it. That amount isn't life-changing. But it is enough to cover a car repair without going into debt. It's enough to handle a medical copay without missing a bill payment. It's enough to absorb the small financial shocks that, without a buffer, cascade into large financial crises. Research consistently shows that households with even a small liquid savings buffer are significantly less likely to face eviction, utility shutoffs, or predatory loan usage than those with none, regardless of income level. The buffer is the single most impactful financial structure you can build on a low income. Everything else sits on top of it. Fund this first. Treat it as untouchable except for genuine emergencies. If you use it, replace it before saving for anything else. Strategy number 4, cut the cost of being poor specifically. There is a well-documented economic phenomenon called the poverty premium. The reality that low-income households pay more per unit for basic goods and services than higher-income households. This is not a personal failure. It is a structural outcome of having less cash available at any given moment. Buying a small container of laundry detergent because a large one isn't in the budget this week costs more per load than buying the bulk size. Buying groceries in small quantities throughout the week costs more than a single weekly shop. Paying monthly on a prepaid phone plan costs more annually than a contract. Using check cashing services instead of a bank account costs a significant percentage of every paycheck. The strategic goal is to identify where you're paying the poverty premium in your specific situation and find ways to reduce it. This might mean opening a checking account with 0 monthly fees. Chime, Ally, and several credit unions offer this to eliminate check cashing costs. It might mean joining a wholesale club with a household or neighbor to split membership and buy staples in bulk. It might mean organizing grocery trips weekly instead of daily to reduce per unit food costs. You will not eliminate the poverty premium entirely, but but reducing it in 2 or 3 specific areas can free up real, consistent money every month. Strategy number 5. Make saving automatic and structurally separated. Willpower is not a saving strategy. It is an exhaustible resource, and it runs out faster under financial stress. Systems that rely on you consistently choosing to save rather than spend will fail. Not because you're undisciplined, but because you're human. The solution is structural separation with friction. This means saving into an account that is not your primary checking account, ideally at a different bank, ideally without an app on your primary phone. High-yield savings accounts at online banks, Marcus, Ally, currently offer 4 to 5% APY with no minimum balance requirements and no monthly fees. That's your money earning real interest, sitting somewhere inconvenient enough that you don't rate it for non-emergencies. Set up an automatic transfer for a fixed dollar amount, not a percentage, a specific dollar amount, to move on the day after your paycheck deposits. Make it small enough that it doesn't create a shortfall. Then leave it alone. The goal of this structure is to remove the decision entirely. You don't have to choose to save every pay period. It happens automatically. That is how you build savings on a tight budget. Not through discipline, but through designing a system where saving is the default. Subscribe before we get to the final piece, because the mindset shift I'm about to explain is the part that makes all 5 of these strategies actually stick long-term. The mindset shift. Here is the reframe that changes how all of this lands. Stop measuring your financial progress against people who are not in your situation. The personal finance industry was built primarily by and for people with financial cushion. Their benchmarks, the 20% savings rate, the 6-month emergency fund, the maxed-out Roth IRA, are not wrong. They're just not your starting line. Your metric at this stage of your financial life is not savings rate. It is financial vulnerability reduction. Every fixed cost you lower reduces your vulnerability. Every dollar in your crisis buffer reduces your vulnerability. Every poverty premium you eliminate reduces your vulnerability. Every predatory financial product you stop using reduces your vulnerability. Financial resilience on a low income looks like this. Your financial life can absorb a small shock without creating a larger crisis. That is the real goal right now. And it is genuinely achievable, not years from now, but with the moves we talked about today. The idea that your financial situation is primarily a product of your choices and your character is not only inaccurate, it is actively harmful because it causes people to internalize failure that is partly structural. You are making financial decisions inside a system with real constraints. Acknowledging that is not an excuse. It is accurate information that leads to better strategy. Work the strategies. Reduce the vulnerability. And as your income grows, which it will, you will have the systems already in place to scale. Let's bring it home quickly. The 5 pitfalls we covered. Saving what's left instead of saving first. Keeping savings while carrying high-interest debt. Storing savings somewhere too accessible. Targeting small visible expenses while ignoring fixed costs. And saving without a specific defined purpose. How about the 5 strategies? They include fixing your fixed cost floor first. Save per income event, not per month. Build a $500 to $1,000 crisis buffer before anything else. Actively reduce your poverty premium in the areas most specific to your life. And automating savings into a structurally separate account that creates friction between you and the money. And the mindset shift. Your goal right now is financial vulnerability reduction, not matching benchmarks designed for a completely different financial situation. Here is your one action from today. Before you close this video, identify one fixed cost in your budget that you have not questioned in over a year. Just one. Look up whether there is a cheaper alternative or a government assistance program that applies to your situation. That one action, done this week, has more potential financial impact than any budget spreadsheet you could build. If this video gave you something useful, subscribe. New videos drop every week, and we stay on this exact type of content. Real strategy, real situations, no fluff. Drop a comment below telling me the one money tip you've gotten that turned out to be completely useless for your actual life. I read every single one. See you in the next video.